Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
We really need to find a catchphrase. Okay, so today we will be talking about Natural Chaos. We'll be previewing this, and this is designed by Rusty Lumpkin, and it is published by Three Nails Games.
All right, this is a preview, like Bethany mentioned. So it's going to be going to crowdfunding, so kind of anything we say sounds interesting, be sure to check that out. Follow the website. I'll have a link to that below in the description. But yeah, so everything is subject to change. All the images I'm going to be showing you are subject to change because of the nature of it not being out yet. All right, so this is a two-player abstract style game. So you either play as 1 versus 1, which you have these 4 elements, right? You have the fire, you have water, you have plants, or whatever they were called, greenery.
Yeah.
And you have earth, you have the mountains, rocks. One person has 2, the other person has the other 2. And they are kind of all in combat with each other. So you have the water and the plants versus the fire and the rocks. All right, so what you're trying to do is you have these 4 different kind of boards, these 4 different areas of the board that you are competing on. Ultimately, you're trying to get 4 of your team's pieces in a row. Just 4 in a row, right? Sounds easy, but not so much. First of all, you cannot place in any section where you have the most amount of things. So wherever you have to kind of play wherever you have the least amount of things. So in the first turn, you have to go place 1 here, then over here, then 1 over here, and you can't go back to play any of the doubles until you've placed in that 4th spot as well. The next rule is you can move around. You can slide things around within its own board. So that way you're trying to get things closer and closer to being next to each other. All right, but then you have all these different kind of this hierarchy of things that beat other things, right? Fire beats plants, but plants can beat rock, but rock beats water, but water beats fire, or whatever the case is. And so you kind of have this idea that if you ever are next to someone that is your nemesis, that is your faction that you're able to knock out, that you're able to beat, you don't actually knock them out. No pieces ever leave the board. You simply are able to switch places with them and can kind of control them. So you are jockeying yourself in a position to where you can kind of mess with the board and be in control of the pieces that you need to be in control of. But now also, each one of those 4 boards is a 4x4 grid in and of itself. What you can do is you can swap places on your turn with a piece that you have dominion over. So if you are water, you can switch places with fire as long as you are in both the exact same spot on your respective grids. And in that way, you can do some really cool moves in order to try to get your 4 in a row.
Yeah.
It is tricky to get 4 in a row, but it is really, really satisfying. It makes you feel really clever when you can kind of organize it all just right in order to pull that off. Again, it's kind of an abstract game as you're just trying to organize your pieces in just the right way.
Yeah, even though I have yet to win this game, I just can't figure that out, but I still did feel clever every single time I was playing this. And so even though I'm not winning, it's nice that I feel smart while I'm playing it. Like, I'm able to do a combo and I'm able to move around and get really close. I feel like I'm clever while I'm playing this game. I'm obviously not clever enough, because then I would at least win a game, but that's okay because I feel clever.
One of the coolest moves in this game is, like I mentioned, the ability to change boards. Because putting things on 4 in a row is so challenging because you can't put just 4 on the same board right in a row. You have to kind of spread them out.
Yeah.
But when you can do one of those power plays that allows you to swap with your opponents and putting you on the same board as your other pieces, or stopping them from getting in a row, or whatever the case is, I love that move. It is so cool. I've never seen anything like that in another game where you literally get to kind of teleport other people's pieces away right as they're about to win, or to cause yourself to win, or whatever the case is. Every single time that move happens, it's just like, what? I didn't see that coming. Even though you know it's an option,
Yeah.
the more common moves are just kind of sliding around or placing pieces on the board. But whenever one of those power moves happens, it is super cool to see, and it is exciting to be able to pull off and make something happen with that.
This is such a little thing, but it helps me as a gamer to play your game. So in the middle of the board, there's that hierarchy wheel of who can defeat who, essentially. And I like that that's on there, and it's not like that it's on the board that we're playing in, and it's not like a player aid, or it's not on the tokens about what. So that way, when I'm like strategizing and I'm trying to think ahead, nobody really knows what I'm thinking. I'm just staring at that that part of the board and trying to figure out what piece of mine I can play next to whose piece to try to manipulate things. So I just really like that they decided to put that on the board so it was really easy to reference, and it's also in everybody's face. So you can't like try to cheat either. So that works. Not that people would do that. People never, most of the times, never try to cheat. It's always an accident.
Yeah, especially in an abstract game, it's easy to point out.
Yes.
All right, so there's kind of different modes of playing. So the first mode we've talked about is just the 2-player. It is just head-to-head mental battle, trying to get your pieces in a row to make it happen. The 2 versus 2, the team mode with 4 players, is wild. You have the situation where you don't know exactly who you're going to need to step up and at which time, but you need to make sure that you have all situations covered. So if fire's starting to do well, water needs to go handle that. But then as a result of that, now mountains are running wild, so now grass needs to go handle that. But it's really funny the way to see, not funny haha, but like interesting. You're constantly entertained and observing the whole thing play out as you're trying to make sure your team does well. The third mode of play that you can add on to either mode of play is these Eternity Stones. These Eternity Stones are basically just big old stones that are just blocking the whole thing. They just sit there on the board, and they are in your way. They are in their way. You cannot go through them. You cannot make your line through them. You cannot teleport to where they are. You can't slide to where they are. They're just taking up space. And that's kind of neat because you want to avoid them, but at the same time you want to make it so that your opponent, you can use them as a shield almost from your opponent being able to block you. Yeah. It works both ways. It's just a small little addition that makes this a big impact when you're playing, like how much they are in the way. There's just 2 little things on the board. Yeah. They're in the way in the best kind of way. So just those different ways of playing, kind of modulating the board and making things, getting more value out of your gameplay.
Overall, this was just a cute little clever abstract game. I really enjoyed it. I felt clever while I was playing with it. I liked that it was really easy to get to play. We were basically playing minutes after getting everything out of the box because the instructions and gameplay were really just that streamlined. Cute little clever abstract game.
This goes into the category of what I would call, it takes a minute to learn, a lifetime to master, one of those kinds of games, because it does. You are just right into the action. You're right into the thick of it, right out of the gate. But then right away, you're also kind of like, if I go there, then Bethany will go there. But then I'll have to do that. But then she could do that. But what if she does that instead? Then I have to do this. So it's one of those games, very, very chess-like in that regard, right? Where you have open information. You're just trying to figure out all the different action options that your opponents could take, and you are trying to figure it all out and make the best moves both offensively and defensively. There's no wrong answers. There's no right answers. You're just trying to survive and get 4 in a row. It is super clever. I love that puzzle of trying to make it all happen while preventing your opponents from doing it as well. Natural Chaos, that name fits perfectly both thematically and with the gameplay itself. I like it a lot.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching it. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can follow us in all of these places.
Everybody, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.